Hi everyone, my name is Paul Hudson. I'm with Multimedia. I'm the local Los Angeles rep. Today I'm here with Jon Rezin. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
I'm Jon Rezin. I'm an engineer and producer. I engineer and produce for American Idol for their weekly studio albums. I have worked doing AOL sessions, recording groups like Maroon 5, Avril Lavigne. I also work with emerging artists like Marcus Bell, J.B. Eckel, a number of others.
So what kind of home setup are we looking at? What's your studio components?
Well, I have a Pro Tools LE rig, a 002, running with a Mac Pro, and I've got Westlake LC 8.1s, KRK V8s. I got some other Tenoise PBM 6.5s, which are not currently hooked up. Half-Flare amplification, trip light power supply, a discrete plus mic brie, just a bunch of, very small amount of boutique gear that helps me get the sound that I need.
Excellent. So are we in a home studio or are we in a professional studio?
Home studio.
Very nice.
Home studio.
In terms of acoustic treatment, do you have any current treatment going on in this room besides a little bit behind the studio?
In terms of acoustic treatment, I recently moved into this space. I had my other space set up, but when I moved in here, I was looking to get it set up, but immediately work was coming in. Okay. So I needed to get something going. So I haven't had a chance to really treat this room, which is what led me to look for some room correction type of thing so I can actually get rolling. And actually, it's been a few months now, and I still haven't had the opportunity to do the acoustic treatment on the room. I have just a little bit of foam on the back wall there, but aside from it, that's it.
That's not always easy. Something like the ARC system is a good alternative.
Yeah, it was funny. I looked at a number of the different systems that were available by different manufacturers, and I decided to give the ARC a try simply because I knew it was something I could load into my computer and I could use, and no matter where I went, I could just take the microphone with me, plug it in there, and arc it up, and I could make sure it sounded the same. And I was a little bit skeptical of it, but once I tried it out, I was actually really amazed by the significant difference it made. I started trying to mix this album in here. I mixed it for a couple weeks, and I was just so frustrated. The bottom end was mush, and the top end didn't sound quite right. I got the ARC system in here, and it was like night and day. So,
absolutely.
From then on, I've just been using it steady. And when I treat my room finally, I'll still be using it. I won't have to work as hard, but it'll still be a great tool.
Excellent, excellent. So all of your previous albums that you've done, have you typically worked out of a home studio, or you travel around a lot? You go into more professional level studios?
Sure, yeah. It depends on the project. I work at a number of professional studios, Westlake, Little Big Room, Burbank. I lived in New York for the last 10 years. I worked at Manhattan Center. I worked at Unique Recording Studios, a number of other places.
Great.
But for the more kind of budget-conscious projects, typically they'll have me do it in my home because they can really only afford me as opposed to the space itself. So having a space that I can have without having to charge for it and having it sound good is really important.
Definitely.
So,
and I think it's happening more and more these days.
Yeah,
more and more guys are working out of their home-based studios. So.
And I actually do a bunch of mastering projects as well. And the frustrating thing is getting projects from engineers, and the frequency spectrum is just nuts. Yeah. There'll be crazy amount of bass or no treble, and it's like, couldn't they hear it? But unfortunately, they probably couldn't. And so having a proper room is really important to creating a professional album.
Absolutely. Yeah, the room definitely has an influence on things, and if you're in a small, mixing type of room, you can typically lose a lot of high end, or the bass response is tremendously different than what's being perceived in your ears. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, definitely. For the American Idol stuff, we do that stuff at Westlake Studios, and for those type of rooms, it's something I've been considering as taking the ARC system around. I haven't had the chance yet. I mean, I just got the ARC system, but I haven't had the chance to take it around to studios yet. But I think it's something I'm going to start to do, because that way I can guarantee that I have the consistency from room to room. I don't have to spend the time, learning the room. I can just spend the time mixing the song.
Time is money. It's all about getting that quick mix done, knowing you can trust what you're hearing.
Yeah, budgets are smaller. No one wants to spend any more money than they have to, and they don't want to sit around and wait for me to, really go through the room and make sure that I'm hearing everything properly.
Definitely.
So,
it's a good point.
I would recommend the ARC system to anybody. Anybody who's doing music on a professional level or trying to be a professional, I would recommend it. The differences are that your music, if you've got good ears, your room can still get in your way.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get the room out of the equation, you'll be able to make your music sound better. It'll translate better. It'll sound better in the A&R department. It'll sound better everywhere. You know, so people will appreciate that more, and you'll probably get more placements. You know, better sounding stuff.
It's pretty amazing what the room can influence and actually affect on what you pick up.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
You know, when I arced my room, I was really surprised at how much difference there was. The huge boost at 200, and there was actually a dip in the high frequencies. It was really like a nasty blanket with like a big subwoofer under. So once the room was arced, I was amazed at how much difference there was. And you can take a look here at the arc measurement and see how much of a difference it made.
So, are there any other IK Multimedia products you've been using?
Yeah, actually, I've been a big fan of IK Multimedia stuff for a long time. The T-Rax plugins. I'm excited to get the new version, but I've been using the T-Rax for a long time. The EQ is really musical.
Excellent.
It's something that most people don't know, and so I would use it, and people are like, "Oh, that sounds amazing! What are you using on that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's T-Rax."
It's the secret weapon.
So yeah, so I've been using that, and then also AmpliTube. I've been using. That's been very effective. I use that pretty much exclusively for getting guitar sounds.
Great.
And then I use it on vocals, which people really dig.
Yeah. Use it in effects box, a lot of different ways. Very cool.
And then the Ampeg SVX. When I got that one, that blew my mind because I'm a bass player, and having an amp simulator for a bass that sounds real and can really shake the floor was amazing. And I actually used it on quite a number of albums, and people are always like, "Man, how did you get my bass to sound like that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have my tricks. It's really
engineer's magical touch."
It's Ampeg SVX is what it is.
Beautiful.
And I've even used it on synth bass lines, like where people have the fake bass lines that they make, and they feel really depressed because they couldn't afford a real bass player on it. I put it through there, and people are like, "Wow, you made me sound like a real bass player." So
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great plugin, yeah.
It's an awesome plugin.
For all you engineers, bass players, it's a secret weapon.
That's the way to do it. If you want to check out some more of my stuff, you can go to smallroomproductions.com. Smallroomproductions.com.
Plural. It's a plural.com.
Definitely.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. I definitely
pleasure,
appreciate
man.
your
Thank
time.
you.
Be looking for your work in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.